Dr. McPhee here from the Wellness Group, and welcome to Joint Mobility. In this video, I'm going to take you through moving every joint in your body from head to toe through its full, healthy range of motion. But some ground rules before we get started. Number one, I want you to focus on pain-free range of motion. What I mean by that is, as you're taking your body through these movements, I want you to keep it out of those areas or ranges that get painful or that maybe you have some discomfort. And really, I want you to focus on, okay, when does that happen? Over time, what you'll notice is that as you do this consistently, that range will increase. Okay, this is all about being persistent and consistent with taking action, getting these movements done. Number two, we're going to focus on doing each movement about 5 times. I'll let you know when we do 10 reps. But at home, what you can do is pause the video and go through maybe 10, 15 repetitions. But for the sake of time on the video, we'll be sticking to 5 repetitions. And number 3, the last ground rule, is that this is really all about being consistent. Okay, you need to do this regularly over a period of time, and only then will we actually get to experience the benefits from working on your mobility. So what I encourage you to do is to commit over the next 30 days to focusing on every morning, get up and do this program. It takes about 8 minutes. You can follow through on the video. It's very easy. It'll wake you up. You'll feel much more energized after doing this. And what I know you'll be surprised by the end of that 30 days that you'll have experienced some pretty dramatic changes. Alright, so let's get started.
Alright, so starting in the neck, what I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to tuck the chin in and poke it out. Tuck it in, poke it out. Drawing the chin in as close as you can to your neck. You'll feel a bit ridiculous doing this one, but that's okay, no one's watching. Now we're going to go side to side. This movement is really isolated to the top part of your neck, so don't expect to get a ton of movement. Try and get it even on both sides. Now we're going to combine those two movements. We're going to go to the side, front, side, and then tuck the chin. It's like drawing a big oval with your chin. And you'll change direction each time. Next we'll go ear to shoulder. Pay attention to how this feels from side to side and if there's any differences. We'll be noting changes in that over time. Now looking over your shoulder, just as a point of reference, we should be able to get that nose just beyond the point of the shoulder. Lastly, we're going to look up to the ceiling and down to the floor. You'll notice that I'm tucking my chin throughout this movement, so we'll show you a view from the side. Note that I start each movement with that chin tuck. That just helps to promote healthy mechanics in your neck. Moving into the upper back. We're going to pretend we're giving someone a big hug and stick the chest out and round the back. Keeping this movement isolated to the mid and upper back. So once again, rounding the back and sticking the chest out. Next, we're going to glide the rib cage from left to right. You won't have a whole lot of movement here. It's more the very subtle movement through the spine and rib cage. Try and keep the hips nice and steady through this. Moving into the shoulder. First thing we're going to do, bring the hands up to the side, and we're going to do some nice big circles with the shoulder itself, so getting that shoulder blade moving around the rib cage. So first forward and then backward. Hands up to the sides, 90 degrees, spread the legs a little bit, and we're just going to be doing some full rotations here at the shoulder. The front facing hand faces up toward the ceiling, and the back facing hand faces down. Hands by your side, we're going to draw small circles with the hands first going in one direction and then reversing that direction. Good, bringing the hands up to 90 degrees and same thing. So first in forward direction, then reverse. And same again with the hands facing up toward the ceiling. First in one direction and then the other. Moving down into the elbow, we're going to start with the fists facing each other. And what you're going to do is just flick the wrists out, place a palm facing up toward the ceiling. And now reversing that, so drawing the hands in and then facing backward. Into the wrist and hand. We're going to start arms by your side and flexing and extending the wrist, so drawing the fingers up and then pointing them downward. And now side to side. Again, keeping this movement focused to the wrist, so try and keep the elbows nice and tucked in. Now just some general finger and hand movement, just wrapping around the thumb. You can add in a bit of wrist flexion here to sort of overstretch on the muscles of your forearm. Placing the hands together, we're going to just extend the fingers. So this movement is limited to the fingers themselves, so try and keep it out of the wrist. And lastly, the thumb. So flexion and extension of the thumb there. And then we'll draw circles of the thumb, first in one direction and then the other. Alright, so moving into the pelvis, you're going to first place your hands on your hip, and we're going to tuck and tip the pelvis. So tucking in the bum and then poking out the bum. View from the side here. You can see I'm isolating that movement to the very lowest part of my low back into the pelvis. Now side to side, popping the hips out. What you can't see is my opposite knee is bending. Now we're going to put all that together. So you're going to pop a hip out and draw a nice big circle with your pelvis. Just alternating directions each time. Alright, into the hip itself. What I'm going to ask you to do is grab a broom handle of some sort. You can hold onto a table or a cabinet. We're just going to do some light leg swings forward and back. Be sure to keep that toe pointing straight forward. You'll notice I'm getting a bit more aggressive here toward the end, so 10 to 15 repetitions, starting off nice and slow and small, and then you can increase the amplitude. Same thing side to side, nice and gentle to start, and then it gets a little bit more aggressive toward the end. Good. And finally, hip openers. So first drawing the knee up across the midline, and then you open up to the side. And then we'll reverse this movement. So up and to the side, and then toward the midline and down. Now we'll repeat that all on the other leg. So leg swings forward and back. Keep that toe pointing forward. And side to side. And finally, hip openers. First opening up, leg to the side. And then drawing the leg out to the side and then down. Moving down into the knee, ankle, and foot. We'll start with the knee, draw the knee up to 90 degrees, and you're just going to kick the foot out and draw it in. So this is flexion extension of the knee. like to see a bit more straighter knee there, so what you can do is just drop your leg down a little bit. Next is circles around the knee, so keeping that movement isolated to the knee itself. And then into the ankle, just flexion and extension of the ankle, or pointing and pulling the toes up. And then circles, first in one direction, and then you can change direction. Now place that foot on the floor, full weight through that leg, and you're going to drop the instep and then roll out onto the outside of the foot. And lastly, place the toes down behind you and just lightly bounce here, so not too much weight through that foot. And we'll repeat on the other side. So draw the knee up and kicking that foot out, full extension. Get the leg as straight as you can. Now into the circles, keeping this movement isolated to the knee. And going in the other direction. Now into the ankle, so drawing the toes up and then pointing them down. Now circles, first in one direction, and then you can reverse. Now placing full weight through that leg, you're going to drop the instep down, so you're collapsing the arch and then rolling out onto the outside of the foot. And lastly, place the toes facing down and bounce lightly. And that's a nice way to finish joint-to-joint mobility.